It's been just over 4 years since this game released, and some of you watching may recognise what this game is, but for those of you that don't, it's called Battlefield 5. And when it released all the way back on the 9th of November 2018, it, well, didn't go down well at all with the Battlefield community. But to see why it got so much hate then and throughout its life cycle, we have to go all the way back to the beginning. Now, like I said, Battlefield 5 released back in November 2018. DICE and EA, who make the game, are normally quite good with marketing and selling their games. And off the back of the huge success that was Battlefield 1, many people were hyped for the next Battlefield game. Now, you may have noticed that I've been playing some of the trailer, and for a World War II game, if you guessed that it was a World War II game, it had some positives, but also comes with some big negatives. With many of the community not liking the addition of female soldiers and prosthetic limbs for a World War II game, DICE received some huge backlash with the release of that trailer. And of course, with that backlash, EA decided to say, if you don't like it, don't buy it. And of course, that was a perfect marketing technique. I personally didn't mind the trailer, and I was glad to just finally, hopefully, get a better Battlefield than Battlefield 1. Apart from the pivotal importance of marketing a game, gunplay and just overall gameplay play a huge part in making a good game. Now, Battlefield 5's gunplay at release was quite easily the best in the series, but after two stupid time to kill changes and making recoil absolutely random, it went from the best gunplay to possibly the worst, like literally the worst Battlefield has ever seen. While the game improved upon movement from Battlefield 1, it just promoted an absolute cancer playstyle of camping and proning everywhere. Couple that with the game's terrible visibility, it made gameplay extremely rage-inducing at times. It removed the hugely popular headshot and kill sound from Battlefield 1, making some kills not as satisfying. Couple that with the random recoil, it made gunfights basically a roll of the dice.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
But it was in the game's hand on whether or not you would get the kill or not. So in the end, the gameplay was sometimes both satisfying and just making you want to throw your console out of the window at the same time. The Battlefield series has had some insane maps, and I thought that DICE would improve upon those for Battlefield 5. Well, I was totally wrong. So many of the maps are just way too big, open, and just terrible. They lack overall good destruction and any sort of immersion that previous Battlefield games had. Some of them, like Panzerstorm and Hamada, have you running for miles before you find that prone bush camper that you actually just can't see, and then they kill you. They could have made the gameplay a much more enjoyable experience, but instead for me, 90% of the time, the maps just ruin the gameplay. And while there are some standout maps like Devastation, Provence and Armage, overall the maps in Battlefield 5 could have just been so much better. Content on both release and after release can make or break any game. Now, Battlefield 5 had some huge problems with content, mainly after its release and during its life cycle. It was DICE's first attempt at a live service model, and they couldn't have done a worse attempt. Very few DLC guns, taking months to receive maps, limited time modes that were good and just never added again, rest in peace grind. Cancel content like the competitive mode, and just generally killing the Battle Royale mode that they had Firestorm as soon as it released. It literally couldn't have done any worse at the time. Then, to top it all off, DICE and EA cancelled Battlefield 5, along with Star Wars Battlefront 2, Need for Speed, just to focus on 2042, and well, we all know how that went. Now, parts of the game that I never had much trouble with, and that was the audio, campaign, and the competitive community. While footsteps were weird sometimes, it never really bothered me that much, and the rest of the audio for me was good. But maybe you had some different experiences, let me know in the comments. And well, the campaign, from what I remember, had one good story, and that was The Last Tiger. Apart from that, it's quite forgettable. Then, the competitive community that was there made mine and so many people's experiences a whole lot better. Now, with all that information, and maybe with your experience on Battlefield 5, do you think the game actually deserves its hate? Personally, I think it did. It just got so many things wrong at launch, and even though it got better with time, and I played it for 4 years, unfortunately, there are still some huge negatives that plague the game till this day. And if you're wondering what DICE and EA are doing for the next Battlefield game, well, then the video on screen is the one to watch.